wanted to bring out the foam roller too and talk a little bit. So, good morning. I'm starting a little bit early. We're just going to talk before we get rolling and start doing things. I have been lucky enough to have been gifted this Monday morning mobility for you guys and gals, and from Erin, because she's out playing Rudy the Rabbit. And if you know what that quote is from, Rudy the Rabbit, just leave it in the premium members. It's a movie quote. So if you get a chance, if you don't know it, Google it, look it up. It's a pretty cool scene. So yeah, Rudy the Rabbit. Congratulations, Erin, for first place in your age group. A lot of our athletes were out there training and running and doing all kinds of stuff this weekend. So from a foundation training perspective, I wanted to provide you with some mobility things that you could do and that you could use. I think foundation training is a perfect accessory for everything that we do. I don't think it's a replacement for everything or anything at all. I think it's a great accessory. It's something to do along with everything else you do. I don't think you should do anything else instead of foundation training. I think you should just add foundation training, and that's why Erin and I go so heavily into it. Well, foundation training is pretty much my jam, so that's where I come from. And I wanted to show you just a really quick warm-up routine and a really quick cool-down routine. I'm a big fan of foam rollers, not so much as laying on them and using them to roll out muscles so much. It's great the way Erin uses it for functional mobility, pretty much just to get the blood flowing in there so we can loosen things up and get going and get at it. One of the other things that I really like using a foam roller for is for postural stuff and for relaxation. As a chiropractor, I'm hunched over patients all day, and these muscles in here tend to get very tight, similar to you guys being on a bike. So when that gets tight, it tends to pull forward. So one of the things that I tend to do, and this is kind of my daily habit pretty much, is laying on a foam roller long ways. So from head to butt, kind of like that. And when you lay on it like that, face up, and just allow those shoulders to kind of melt over it, it really helps to stretch and open up those pec muscles and helps to loosen that up. It makes decompression breathing a heck of a lot easier, and it makes it more functional. So that's something that I kind of do. It's my relaxation at the end of the day. I lay on the floor on that foam roller. I do it for about 5 minutes. I just kind of hang out there and rest. Other than having my dog lick my face, I try and stay pretty relaxed with it. So that's what you can do with your foam roller and kind of play with that. So here we go, warm-up routine. Pretty quick warm-up routine. We're just gonna throw probably 2 or 3 exercises into your warm-up routine because you got a lot of other stuff that you're doing in the warm-up. So what I try and do in my warm-up routine is try to get my body working together from toes to top of the head. And that's the great thing about foundation training, because it helps integrate everything. And it helps you work very well. So that's kind of where we're coming from with this. The warm-up is trying to give my body a little nudge saying, hey, you guys need to learn how to play together. This is gonna be a long day, and let's work this out. So I usually start, I'm gonna go with a wide founder. Outside edges of the feet parallel, 3 points of contact, joint of the big toe, ball joint of the little toe, and heel. Those push down into the ground as my weight transfers onto the heels, the knees unlock. I'm gonna go measuring sticks. And as I'm breathing here with my measuring sticks, my elbows are out wide, my chin is up, I'm breathing that chest up and I'm lengthening that abdomen on the exhale. So as I'm breathing here just really lightly, I'm kind of checking in with my body and seeing how it's feeling. I'm paying attention to those 3 points of contact pushing down, I'm squeezing the ground with the toes a little bit, pulling up with those arches. Excuse me. My knees are unlocked and I'm trying to feel those muscles in my legs kind of work together to pull up into that pelvis. Once I have that kind of going on, I kind of go just above that pelvis and I turn my attention to those measuring sticks and make sure that abdomen is lengthening. And then I look for that 360-degree expansion in that rib cage. While I try not to cough. As I lengthen that neck, those 3 points of contact are pushing down and I'm breathing up and away from that. By now, I have a pretty good integration of my whole body from toes to top of the head. Now I can start throwing some movement in there. And we're gonna go wide founder, hands come out into long wing. Scoop those hands up, pull those hips back. In this founder, I'm looking for distance between those fingertips and buttocks. Let me turn a little sideways here. So as those hips come back, reaching those fingers forward, keeping that neck long, keeping that spine as long as we can. And I'm going to take a couple breaths here, maybe about 5 breaths. Last one. Push through those heels, pull all the way up out of it. This time we're going to go back into that founder, but we're going to throw some side lunges into it. So the goal with these side lunges is while we're going to the side, we still want to pull that butt backwards. So I'm looking kind of like an angulated pull towards the back wall. You watch. That's the best way I can explain it. Scoop those hands up, pull those hips back. Nice big breath, and then those hips pull back as I lunge to the right just a little bit. Come back up to neutral, and hips pull back as I lunge to the left, and back up. And then pull those hips straight back, and then back up a little bit. And then I'm going to turn frontwards so you can see where I'm going on this. Hands out here on that side lunge. Knee tries to stay behind the toes as those hips pull back and up. The other way, to the left and up. And I like to pull those hips straight back and up. And then I come up and shake it out. We're going to go one more round of those. Wide stance. Outside edge of the feet parallel, 3 points pushing down, knees unlocked, weights back on those heels. Measuring sticks, big breath, long wing. Here we go, scoop them up, pull those hips back. Lunging to the right, hips pull back, arms reach forward. Looking for distance between those fingertips and the left buttock on this one, pulling that left hip towards that back wall. And back up. Right hip and up. Left hip and up. One more. Right hip and up. Left and up. Push through those heels all the way up tall. Now, my glutes, my hamstrings, my iliotibial bands, all the muscles in my feet are all loosened up and working together. I can feel the blood flowing in there. My lungs are expanding. My rib cage is starting to loosen up. My neck and shoulders are starting to loosen as well. We're going to throw a woodpecker in next. Right foot forward, left foot back. Walking distance, feet shoulder width. Make sure those hips are square. Outside edges of the feet parallel. Equal weight to start. Measuring sticks, big breath. Always like to throw a scissor in while I'm breathing because that helps me get a little taller. And then I let go of that scissor but keep that height. I'm going to bring that sear tension out in front as I stay up tall on this one. I'm going to pull those hips back as that arm reaches forward. We're loading this front leg to about 70 to 80% of our weight. The front knee is unlocked, but it's still behind the ankle. Try not to let that knee migrate out. Nice big breath. Pull that hip back a little bit more. Let's reach those fingers up and reach them out in front of you. Looking for lengthening in the rib cage right here. Big stretch. Long wing, step through that heel. And let's switch sides. Left foot forward, right foot back. I'll go sideways on this one so you can see from this way. Outside edge of both feet parallel, knees unlocked. Square those hips, measuring sticks, and a scissor just to get tall. Hands to long wing, scoop them up. Pull those hips back. Make sure that front knee's unlocked. Chest comes over top of that front thigh, load that front leg. Bring those hands up, reach that sear tension to the corner of the wall and the ceiling as you pull those hips back. Push through that heel all the way up tall, step that leg forward, and there's your warm-up. Everything should feel really loose from the fingertips to the arms. With that reach of that woodpecker, really helps to loosen up the upper extremities too. So that should feel really good. If you're swimming, you may want to throw a couple traces in there, shoulder traces, thumbs on the hips, just trace them up and down, and just a couple of these. Just trying to lead with those elbows. And then all the way around the shoulders, behind the head, all the way up and back. And a couple of easy traces like that. Just to kind of get the blood flowing in those delts, in the lats, and get those arms moving around and loosened up. So there's your warm up. After your exercise, let's do some cool down. With the cool down, we're looking for nice big stretching. We're looking for that feeling of integration again, the body working together. Your weak spots as you train are going to fatigue earlier than your strong spots. So pay attention to those weak spots. Don't necessarily dwell on them, but just pay attention to them, because they're probably not going to be weak spots for long. If they are weak spots, they shouldn't be weak spots in a couple months, because we're training for a lot of stability and a lot of resilience. So I expect things to change. To me, change is good. I'll chase the pain around till it decides to leave. If it's the same every time, then I got questions. So here we go, cool down. Standing decompression. Big toe touching, heels spread apart just a little bit, knees unlocked, 3 points pushing down. Weights on those heels, little squeeze with those thighs. Measuring sticks, and nice big breath. Just trying to wake everything up and tie it all together. You will feel completely different in your warm-up from your cool down. So pay attention to that and use that as a learning point. Push those 3 points of contact down. Breathe up and away from that. Feel your body working together. Look for that 360-degree expansion. Good. And then relax. Shake that out for just a second. Good. Let's go wide stance again. 2 to 3 times shoulder width. This time we're going into a forward fold. Nice big stretch on this one. So keep those knees unlocked. I like to do measuring sticks. It always helps me get set up for that exercise. Keep those 3 points of contact pushing down. No internal, no external anchor. We're just pushing down into the ground. Scoop those hands up, pull those hips back. And then once you get here, just keep trying to pull those hips back further and further and further. It's not necessarily bending down. I want you to focus on pulling those hips back more. As those hips come back more, you have to go into a hinge. Once those hips get it back as far as they're going to go, let those fingers come down to the ground. Walk those fingers forward, sink back into those buttocks. Let that head drop down. Look behind your heels and breathe those the shoulder blades up towards the ceiling. Keep pulling those hips back. Feel that stretch in the calves, in the hamstrings, in the glutes, in the lower back, in the rib cage, all the way up to the shoulder blades. Walk those hands underneath the shoulders, palms flat on the shins. Push in with a little bit of pressure. Get those lats involved in this. And then push through those heels to pull up out of it. Good. And then shake it out. That's just a really great stretch to help everything loosen up and get the blood flowing in there. So I hope that'll help kind of get things moving quite a bit. The other thing that I like to throw in is an integrated hinge, because that helps after you've been running or biking or swimming or doing any type of exercise. The integrated hinge is just a really good movement pattern to help reinforce, so that when you do normal daily tasks, this is the way those hips bend and hinge. So let's go feet shoulder width apart on this one. Outside edges of the feet parallel, 3 points of contact, joint of the big toe, joint of the little toe and heel pushing down. Weight transfers onto those heels and then those knees unlock. I usually push those hips back before I unlock those knees, because that helps me keep those knees nice and back behind those ankles. If I unlock the knees first, most people tend to do this and then push the hips back and do that. And that's kind of not where I want you. So stay up tall on this. Pull those hips back and just wiggle those knees so they're unlocked. So when I do integrated hinges, I like to put my hands right here, thumbs up. I don't know why, it's just the way I do it. 3 points of contact pushing down, nice big breath. Pull those hips back as that chest comes down and up and back and down. Focus on the hinge right from the hip here, trying to keep this rib cage big and expansive. If at first you start doing this and you feel that rib cage kind of collapsing, put measuring sticks right here. And keep those ribs right by your thumbs away from that pelvis as you go into this hinge. If you find this distance decreasing, you know you're not getting that hinge from the hips. The limiting factor on this movement is hamstring tightness. So if your hamstrings are tight, you may only get to here. And that's totally fine, because you're still doing the work that we want, and you're still programming those movement patterns into your brain. As those hamstrings start to loosen up, you'll be able to go a little bit more. 2 more. Last one. All the way up. Relax those arms, relax those legs. That's your cool down. 3 exercises. Standing decompression, forward fold, integrated hinges. Your warm up, again, was wide leg founder with those side lunges. The woodpecker with that reach up to the corner of that ceiling and the wall. And like I said, if you're swimming and you want to do a little shoulder work, you can do some shoulder traces as well. So those are your exercises for warm up and cool down. Try and add those to your training and see if it makes a difference. See if it helps you warm up a little bit easier and cool down a little bit easier. We're always here for you. We're looking for feedback. So feel free to bark at us if you got any questions. And Aaron will be back soon. Thanks for spending the time with me today. Enjoy your Monday morning mobility. Cheers.